everyone. This is Sunday School Worship for January 24th. So I want you guys to remember back to our first week in this lesson. So this would have been 2 weeks ago with Mrs. Van Dusky. So if you guys can remember, she taught us how to put Jesus first with our words. And then last week, we were with Mrs. Charles, and she taught us how to put Jesus first with our actions. And now today, just a little bit different, but the same concept. We are going to talk about how to put Jesus first with our thoughts. So what we're thinking. Okay, so what we think about is a big part of who we are. And in this lesson, like I said, we're going to learn how to put Jesus first with our thoughts. So here is an example. So if you are with your friends, and your friends are being really mean to you all of a sudden, they're calling you names, making some weird looks at you, right? And just not being nice. So what would you do? Well, I could think of a couple things I would do, but they're probably not the right way to go about it, right? So what we have to do is we have to stop, and we have to think, what would Jesus do? Or what would Jesus think? Would Jesus think to himself, oh, I really hate this person, or man, I really want to punch this person right now? No, right? No, Jesus would not do that. He'd kill him with kindness instead. And no, not really kill them. I know some of you guys were thinking that. But no, to kill him with kindness means to just give him so many compliments and love and everything that's nice. So Jesus would still love that person, even if they're being mean, right? You'd still be thinking good thoughts. So today we're also going to learn how to use how our bad thoughts lead us to do bad things, and our good thoughts lead us to do good things. So last week, if you guys can remember, we were with Mrs. Charles, and she asked us a question. How should we serve God? Right? How should we serve God? And all of us had to answer, we should serve him faithfully with all of our heart, right? Not just a little piece of it, but all of it, the whole thing. So giving God our best is what he wants from us. God has done so much for us, right? He's done so much. And sometimes the only way we can say, thank you, God, is by giving it back to him. But what are some ways that you guys can think of that are giving back to God? Well, I can think of some ways. So giving back to God could be as simple as being nice to others, right? And giving them compliments and saying, I really like your hair today, or your outfit is super cute. You could also help your parents with the dishes or the laundry, or just cleaning up your room to make it easier for your parents so they don't have to yell at you, right? Or another way is if your friend is stuck on a math problem or needs some help with homework at school, you could help them out, right? Because those are all ways to give back to God. So when we serve God faithfully, where do we feel good? When we're serving God and doing good things, where do we feel good? Do we feel good in our hands? In our fingers? In our eyes? No, right? We feel good in our heart. Right? In our heart. Deep in our heart, we feel good. So when we are thinking about all of the good things that God has done for us, we're thinking about God and Jesus and everything they've done, what part of our body are we using? We're using our hands, eyes, fingers? No, right? We're using our mind and our head to think about God and all the good things he's done for us. So today, I'm going to tell you guys a little story. So you don't need your Bibles for this because I'm just going to read it to you. So all you need to do is have your listening ears ready and we'll get started, okay? So today's story is about a young man. He's very young, so kind of like me and you guys, right? He's pretty young. He's not old. And he's very rich. Not like me, because I do not have a lot of money. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not rich. But this young man is. So we're going to read a story about the man that is young and rich. And we're going to look at what this man thinks he's supposed to do to follow Jesus. Okay, so here we go. The young man was so excited. He had heard that Jesus was going to be in town, and he thought it would be a great way to meet him. He had heard so many good things about Jesus and wanted to follow him on his journey. The young man wanted to listen to Jesus as he spoke about life, God, and so many wonderful things. As the young man walked closer to the crowd, he searched and searched and searched for Jesus. Finally, his eyes met him. He was standing between a whole bunch of people and talking about little children. Jesus wanted the little children to come to him. The young man watched in wonder as Jesus walked through the crowd, saying, "Let the little children come to me, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to them." Then all the children ran up to Jesus, and he placed his hands on each one of them. Jesus was not worried about what the older people thought. Instead, he stopped what he was doing simply to let the children come close, so he could speak softly to them. The young man thought this was amazing. Now he wanted to follow Jesus more than ever. He walked near to Jesus, a little bit nervous, but he had to ask an important question. This may be his only chance to speak up. "Teacher," he said, "what good must I do to get eternal life?" He thought this was a very good question. Jesus said, "Why do you ask me what is good? There is only one who is good. If you want to enter life, obey the commandments." Obey the commandments. His tone was much different now than it was with the children. But then this young man was much older. He thought about Jesus' answer for a moment and then asked, "Which commandments exactly?" Jesus responded, "Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not give false testimony, honor your father and your mother, and love your neighbor as yourself." The young man thought again about this and believed he was doing pretty well, since he had followed all of those commandments, since he was a little boy, just like these children that Jesus was talking to. But he thought, there must be more. "I have kept all of these, Jesus. What else do I need to do?" he asked. Well, he was not ready for what Jesus said next. You see, this man was not only young, but he was also very, very rich. He had a lot of things, a lot of money, and he was not the kind of person who was willing to give them up. Jesus answered, "If you want to be perfect, go sell what you have, give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then you can come and follow me." Yikes, this was a hard one. Not only did the young man feel like a bad guy because he had so much money, now even worse, he knew he would never be able to get into heaven. This was a very sad thing for the young man. He really wanted to follow Jesus and make sure he had a place in heaven. But he wasn't willing to give up the one thing that Jesus asked him to give up. The young man was thinking selfishly. He was not putting God first. He only wanted to know how he could get into heaven on his own. The rich young man walked away that day with a frown on his face. He tried to think of other ways he could go to heaven, but he knew very well what he needed to do. He needed to give up all of his material possessions, all of them away. The young man refused to do this, though. Money and possessions were too important for him. So he did not make it to heaven. He did not do what Jesus asked him to do. So that is the end of our very rich young man's story today. So I hope most of you guys understood most of the story, but if you didn't, we're just going to review a little bit. I have a couple questions for you, so that if you miss something the first time, hopefully you'll get it the second time. Okay, so first off, the story started out with a young man, and he saw Jesus with some children, right? And he loved what he saw, right? He saw Jesus with all these children. But what was Jesus doing with the children? I'll give you a minute to think about it. So the man saw that Jesus was touching and praying with the children, right? And he wanted to be like that. He wanted to be like the children because he wanted Jesus to love him. And he wanted Jesus to pray for him. So this young man went up to Jesus, and he was a little scared, right? Because that's kind of scary going up to Jesus and having a question. But he said, "What can I do to go to heaven with you?" Do you remember what Jesus said? What did Jesus tell this man? Well, first off, he said, "Follow all 10 commandments, and then you can go to heaven with me," right? So do you guys remember what these 10 commandments were? I'll give you a minute to think about it, and then if you need some more time, you can also pause the video. But think about what 10 commandments we were talking about in the story. So I have one. One of the commandments that we read about was do not steal. Right, so what does that mean? Well, if you really want to take one of your sister's toys, should you do it? Just because it's not yours, like, and you want to take it, should you do it? No, right? That's stealing, and we should not steal because that is one of the 10 commandments. Okay, here's another one. Another one is to honor your father and your mother. So how can we do that? What are some ways that you can honor your mom and your dad? Well, I can think of some ways by maybe giving them a hug, telling them you love them, saying your pleases and thank yous, right? Or maybe helping around the house to make it easier. All of those ways are honoring your father and your mother and following the commandments like Jesus does. So, but this man told Jesus that he did all those things, right? He didn't steal from people. He honored his mom and his dad. So what else did he have to do? Do you guys remember what else Jesus said this man had to do? If you said to give up all the money and everything he has, you are correct. Right? Jesus said to go to heaven and to follow me, you have to give up everything you own and all of your money. Right? And this man didn't have a little money. Like, he didn't have $10. Right? He was really rich. He had a lot of money. That's a lot of money to give away. So this man was upset, right? Because he had to give away all of his money. And why do you think this made him really upset? Like, why was it so hard for him? Why was it so hard for the man to give up everything just to go to heaven? Well, I think it is because he was thinking so selfishly, right? He was only thinking about his money. And all those bad thoughts about wanting money and wanting to keep everything that he had. He didn't want to give it away to random people and strangers. No, so those bad thoughts were clouding his judgment, right? And that led him to think that his money was more important than Jesus. That's a really bad thought, right? Because we need to put Jesus first. And this man was not putting Jesus first. So guess what happened? He did not go to heaven, right? Because his bad thought that he had of all of his money led him to do bad things and not follow Jesus. Okay, so that's the end of the story. So I hope you guys picked up on some things that you didn't get the first time through. And now we are going to do a little activity. Okay, so what I have here are 3 balloons, okay? 3 different colors, and I'm going to pop them. Now, it makes me a little nervous because I don't really like popping balloons, but here goes nothing, okay? Okay, I popped it now. Something flew out. I don't know if you guys saw that. Not really sure where the other thing went, but we'll have to find it later. Okay, well, I found this in it. It says, sad. Okay. So, what are some sad thoughts that you guys have? Like, what makes you really, really sad? Well, I can think of many things that make me sad, and it's not a happy feeling, right? Sad thoughts are bad thoughts. So let's think of an example of what could be a sad thought. So maybe one of your friends is being really mean to you, right? And they're calling you mean names, and you're just really sad about that, right? That doesn't make you feel good in your heart, right? So some sad thoughts when your friends are being mean to you could be, well, oh, I'm really stupid, or no one likes me anymore, right? Those are all sad thoughts. Those are all bad thoughts too, right? Well, there was something else in that balloon. I don't know where it went, but it flew out. I can't find it right now, but it was a little cross, okay? So we're going to come back to that. But I got 2 more balloons to pop, so we're going to get to it first. Okay. Okay, let's see what this one says. This one, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says angry. So what are some angry thoughts that you guys have? Or what makes you really, really angry? I don't know about you guys, but when my brothers break my toys or steal my stuff, that makes me really, really angry, right? And I have some angry thoughts in my head, like, oh, I really hate him, or I want to go beat him up right now. I'm going to go take his toy and break it. Right? Those are really angry thoughts. And they're bad ones, too. So, if I have those bad thoughts, it's probably going to lead me to do some bad things, right? And that's not good. We want to change those thoughts. So here, I found something else in the balloon, too. And here, I have a cross. Okay, that was in the other balloon too, but it popped, remember, and I can't find it. So we only have 1 cross right now. We're going to talk about that later. Because I have 1 more balloon to pop. Okay, here goes nothing. Woo! Jeez. 1 second, I gotta grab it. Okay. Let's see what we find in this one. Okay, this one says mad. Now, what are some mad thoughts that you guys have? Or what makes you really, really angry and mad? Okay, well, here, I'll give you guys an example. What makes me really mad sometimes. So, my mom tells me to do the laundry, right? And I just don't want to do it. That makes me really mad. Right? And I think to myself, oh, she's so annoying. I don't want to do the laundry. Why do I always have to do it? Right? Those are mad thoughts. And they're bad thoughts too. But look what I found, guys. I found another cross. So that means that I have 3 crosses because every single balloon had a cross in it, right? Even with those bad thoughts, there was a cross. Do you guys know what this means? Do you guys know what these crosses mean? Well, it can remind us that even when we have those bad thoughts, we have to put Jesus first, right? So even when we have bad thoughts, we have to remember about Jesus. Put Jesus first. Okay, so now that we have talked about everything, and this is our 3rd lesson of the week, we now know that we need to put Jesus first with our words, right? So what we say, our actions, what we do with our hands, our body, and our thoughts. So what we're thinking in here. We need to put Jesus first. So if you really, really want to steal your brother's toy, should you do it? No, right? You should not do it. We have to stop. We have to take those bad thoughts of, oh, I want to steal my brother's toy, and turn them into positive thoughts, right? Because we don't want to do bad things. So sometimes it can be really hard to think about God, right? When we're thinking about all those bad things, it's really hard to put Jesus first. So I'm going to challenge you guys that anytime you have a bad thought in your head or you're thinking bad, I want you to change it into a good thought, right? Be happy, right? Be happy. And so that is all I have for you guys today. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember, turn those bad thoughts into good thoughts. Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Bye. Stop. The red button.